Welcome to this video of access modifiers. In the previous video, we have seen about how objects are created out of class, and we have seen little bit about access modifiers like private and public. So in this video, we are going to talk about in detail about different types of access modifiers. So as the name suggests, access modifiers restrict the scope of class members, which are nothing but for the fields, methods, and constructors. So we got four different types of access modifiers: private, public, protected, and no modifier. So if you don't define any modifier for the class members, that is called no modifier, which is nothing but the default. So let us see in detail by using an example. So here we got a class called car. So the fields are normally declared using private access modifier. So that means, so if we use a private access modifier for variables or methods, so that means the class members are accessible only within the class. So they are not accessible outside of the class, right? So let's see an example. Like, so we have a car example, car application here. So I'm trying to access the car make field directly, and let's see what happens. So I'm trying to set the make value like Honda, and as you can see here, we are getting a compile exception, like compile time exception, right? So it does not allow to set the value to the make property because the make variable make field is declared using the private access modifiers. So let's try to change this access modifier to public, but it's not a best practice to use public access modifier for the fields. So I'm just actually showing for an example. And in the car application, so now as you can see here, it does not complain about any compilation errors. So we can able to directly set it, but this is not a best practice because we are basically violating the encapsulation here. So I'm going to revert this to private, and so let me try to remove this. So right, so basically the private access modifiers are accessible only within the class, and we cannot access outside of this class. It could be a method or a constructor, or it could be a fields as well. So the public, when we declared any variable or any method or constructor as a public, that means these class members are accessible outside of this class as well. So they are accessible outside of this package also. So when I say package, so package is nothing but a folder in Java. So here we got a package called oops, and we also got another package like service. So any class inside the service class could also access this method because this is declared as a public. So apart from these private and public access modifiers, we also have two more access modifiers, that is nothing but protected and default access modifier. So if you don't define any access modifiers, so that is nothing but a default access modifier. So default access modifiers, the class members are accessible within only the package, so they cannot be accessed outside of this package. So let's say I am declaring this field as, I have not defined, I have not given any access modifier for this field, and let's try to set this value to the make and Honda, and see. So we should be able to set the value for the make, because this is declared as no access modifier. There is no access modifier but for this, so which means that this is accessible in entire package, but the same thing cannot be accessed outside of this package. So let me try to revert this. Yeah, so we also have a protected access modifier. So the protected access modifier is accessible within the package, and it is also accessible outside of the package, but only if it is a subclass. So this protected access modifier is mainly useful when we use inheritance. So we will see more details about these protected access modifiers in the inheritance section. So let me try to revert this. Yeah. So let's see the main differences about all these modifiers, right? So we got a public access modifier, and public access modifiers are accessible within the class, within the package, within the subclass. I mean, if the subclass is present outside of the class, it is also accessible, and it is accessible outside of the package as well. So the world means like outside of the package. So public access modifier class members are accessible anywhere, can be accessed from anywhere. So the protected access modifiers are accessible only, it can be accessible within the class, so they are allowed, they can be accessible within the package, and but they're not allowed outside of the package. But there is an exception for that. If it is a subclass outside of the package, it still can be accessible. And if you don't define any access modifiers, that is nothing but the no modifier. So the no modifier no modifier access member, I mean no modifier access members are accessible only within the package. They can be accessed inside the class, they can also be accessed within the package, but they cannot be accessed outside of the package even if it is a subclass. And private, of course, these class members are accessible only within the class, and they cannot be accessed outside of the class. So that's all about these access modifiers. See you in the next video.